The second a cop says, "My dog alerted," most drivers freeze hard. They stare. They say nothing. And in that silence, they handed the officer everything he needs to search your entire vehicle and potentially arrest you. The officer walks his dog around your car. The dog sits or scratches. The officer says, "My dog alerted," and within seconds, your Fourth Amendment rights vanish. Through tactical analysis of over 300 recorded stops, I've identified the exact pattern officers use. They count on your confusion and silence. I'm going to show you the exact words to say the instant a drug dog alerts, why these phrases create tactical advantage, and how to stop a false alert from violating your rights. This is tactical education only. For specific legal guidance, consult a licensed attorney in your jurisdiction. You need to understand what's really happening when an officer says, "My dog alerted." Most people think drug dogs are accurate. They're not. Field data proves it. A 10-year analysis of over 94,000 drug dog searches found 75% of alerts were false. The dog indicated drugs. No drugs were found. 3 out of 4 times the alert was wrong. The Chicago Tribune examined 3 years of suburban traffic stops and found drug dogs were wrong more often than right. Only 44% of alerts led to finding drugs or paraphernalia. For Hispanic drivers, that accuracy dropped to 27%. When the officer says, "My dog alerted," there's a better chance the dog is wrong than right. But here's the critical tactical intel. Dogs don't just smell drugs and alert. They read their handlers. A landmark study published in Animal Cognition placed 18 handler dog teams in rooms with no drugs present. The handlers were told certain locations contained drugs using red paper markers. Every single team produced false alerts. The dogs alerted exactly where their handlers expected drugs to be, not where drugs actually were. This is called the clever hands effect. The dog isn't detecting contraband. The dog is detecting what the officer believes. When the officer suspects you, the dog gives him a certified alert that justifies a search. Here's your first tactical countermove. The moment the officer says, "My dog alerted," ask, "Officer, has the traffic stop been completed?" Calm, clear, direct. Under Rodriguez versus United States, officers cannot extend a stop beyond the time needed for the original violation without reasonable suspicion. Once an officer completes checking license, registration, insurance, warrants, and issuing the ticket, the stop must end. If the dog's sniff extends the stop even 7 or 8 minutes, it's unconstitutional. Your question forces an answer. If he says yes, ask, "Then am I free to leave?" If he says no, he's admitting he's extending the stop. You have him on record prolonging detention. Rodriguez prohibits that without reasonable suspicion. Officer, has the traffic stop been completed? Say it 3 times right now. That question handles the timing issue, but whether the stop was complete or not, you must deploy countermove number 2 immediately after the alert. The officer just told you his dog alerted. He's about to say, "I need to search your vehicle." Before he finishes that sentence, you say this: "I do not consent to any searches." Clear, firm, no hesitation. Say it exactly like that. Why is this critical even after the dog alerted? Because Florida versus Harris established that a dog alert creates probable cause for a search. The officer doesn't need your permission anymore. But here's the tactical reality. You're not saying this to stop the search right now. You're saying it to protect yourself in court later. If this case goes to trial, your attorney can challenge whether the dog alert was reliable. Was the dog properly trained? Does it have a history of false alerts? Did the handler cue the dog intentionally or unconsciously? When you clearly state, "I do not consent to any searches on camera," you preserve every legal challenge. You prove you didn't voluntarily give up your rights. The prosecution can't claim you cooperated. Your refusal is on the record. For everyone's safety, I'm recording this interaction as well. Say that immediately after refusing consent. Pull out your phone, make it visible, and start recording. Your recording plus their body cam equals your tactical advantage. Now lock in counter move number 2. "I do not consent to any searches." Say it 3 times right now. This is your shield. Deploy it every single time. You've challenged the timing. You've refused consent. Now deploy counter move number 3. After you state you don't consent, the officer might say, "Well, my dog gave me probable cause, so I'm searching anyway." At that exact moment, you ask this: "Am I being detained or am I free to leave?" This question forces the officer to make a choice. If he says you're detained, ask, What is the legal basis for my continued detention? He has to articulate reasonable suspicion beyond the traffic violation. The dog alert alone doesn't justify extending the stop if the traffic business was already done. If he says you're free to leave, you say, "Thank you, officer," and you leave. Do not stick around. Do not ask more questions. You go. But here's what typically happens. The officer will keep you there while he searches. He's banking on the dog alert as his justification, and under current case law, he might have it. But you're still creating the record. Rodriguez established a 7 to 8 minute rule in that specific case. The Supreme Court found that extending the stop 7 to 8 minutes after issuing the written warning was too long. Every minute you're detained after the traffic stop should have ended. You're documenting a potential Fourth Amendment violation. Stay calm, stay tactical, keep your hands visible, and repeat your question if needed. Am I being detained, or am I free to leave? The officer's answer goes on the recording. That recording becomes your evidence if this goes to court. You've now used 3 countermoves. The stop is extended, the officer is searching, and he's going to try to get you talking. He'll ask, "Is there anything in the car I should know about?" Or, "Why are you so nervous?" Or, "Where are you coming from?" This is where most people destroy their own case by talking. Countermove number 4 stops that cold. You say this: "I'm invoking my right to remain silent." Not, "I don't want to talk." Not, "I think I should stay quiet." You use those exact legal words. I'm invoking my right to remain silent. Why is this phrasing critical? The Supreme Court ruled in Berghaus versus Tompkins that just staying silent isn't enough. You have to explicitly invoke the right. Once you say those words, the officer is legally required to stop asking you questions. If he keeps interrogating you after you invoke, anything you say can be suppressed in court. But here's the tactical advantage most people miss. Silence can't be used against you. The officer might say, "If you've got nothing to hide, why won't you talk?" Ignore it. Stay silent. He might say, "Staying quiet makes you look guilty." Ignore it. These are manipulation tactics designed to make you reverse your invocation. Your composure is your tactical advantage. You've invoked your right to remain silent. You don't explain, you don't justify, you don't argue, you stay tactical. Lock this in. I'm invoking my right to remain silent. Say it 3 times. This phrase ends all questioning immediately. Now that you know what to say, here's what you absolutely cannot say when that dog alerts. First, never explain or justify anything. The officer says, "My dog alerted. Is there anything in your car?" You do not say, "No, I don't have drugs, I swear." You do not say, "Maybe the dog smelled my prescription medication." You do not say, "I gave someone a ride last week. Maybe they had something." Every single explanation you give is a statement that can be twisted in court. You're trying to sound innocent. You're actually creating evidence against yourself. Second, never ask, "Can I just explain?" or "Can I tell you what happened?" No. You invoked your right to remain silent. You stay silent. The officer might pressure you. He might say, "I'm trying to help you here, but you're not working with me." That's a tactic. Stay silent. Cooperation does not equal conversation. You're being polite. You're being respectful. You're complying with lawful orders, but you're not talking. Third, never argue with the officer about the dog's accuracy. Do not say, "Your dog is wrong," or "Drug dogs are unreliable," or "I know my rights about false alerts." You're not there to educate the officer. You're not there to win a debate. You're there to protect yourself tactically. State your countermoves. Then stay quiet. The roadside is not the courtroom. You fight this battle later with an attorney and evidence, not right now with arguments that get you arrested. If the situation escalates, if the officer becomes aggressive, or if you're facing arrest, you have one more tactical weapon. Countermove number 5. You say this: "I want to speak with an attorney." This is the nuclear option. It ends everything. Under the 6th Amendment, once you invoke your right to an attorney, all questioning must stop immediately. You can invoke this before arrest. You can invoke it during a traffic stop. The second those words leave your mouth, the officer cannot legally ask you anything else about potential crimes. He might still search your vehicle if the dog alerted. He might still arrest you if he finds something. But he cannot interrogate you. And here's the strategic advantage. Anything you said before invoking might be admissible in court, but anything you say after clearly invoking your right to an attorney gets suppressed. The officer can't use it. The prosecutor can't introduce it. Your words after invocation are legally protected, so deploy this when you need it. If you're being pressured, if you're confused, if you're scared you might say something that incriminates you, you invoke. I want to speak with an attorney. Clear, direct, final. This ends the conversation completely. Practice this now. I want to speak with an attorney. Say it 3 times. This is your tactical exit from any interrogation. Here's the field rule. When a drug dog alerts, you're facing a search whether you consent or not. Your tactical counter moves protect your legal position. Challenge timing with "Officer, has the traffic stop been completed?" Refuse consent with "I do not consent to any searches." Force the detention question with "Am I being detained or am I free to leave?" Stop questioning with "I'm invoking my right to remain silent." Deploy the nuclear option with "I want to speak with an attorney." These 4 counter moves are your tactical foundation. Say them now. Am I free to leave? I'm invoking my right to remain silent. I want to speak with an attorney. I do not consent to any searches. Practice saying these out loud 3 times. Screenshot these and keep them accessible. You need these phrases locked before you're on the side of the road with a K9 unit circling your car. This is tactical education only, not legal advice. Always consult with a qualified attorney in your state for your situation. If this helped, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share this with anyone who drives. The next video gives you counter moves for other scenarios officers throw at you. It's on screen. Watch it now. Control the interaction. Control the outcome.